I'm going to show you why it is important to have a scant quarter seam allowance when you're sewing your blocks together. If your entire quilt is just squares that are the same size, it doesn't matter what size your seam allowance is. But if you have any pieces that are different sizes and you're sewing them together, it will matter. And some quilts it will matter more than others. So this is one where it will matter. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. Now, this is a block that's going to be in my quilt. And this is a block that I am making from scraps that I just found in my sewing room. So it will not match, but you will get the idea. So I'm going to lay my pieces out. Okay, I'm going to make this eclectic block and this block, which will go in my quilt. And I'm going to sew this one together using a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm sew this one together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to show you how big of a difference it makes. It's a small but important difference. First, I'm going to sew my half square triangles onto my accent fabric pieces. Now I'm going to sew them. I've just attached my half square triangles to my accent fabric pieces, and I've sewn these on with a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance and these with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. See, they're a little bit different. I'm going to show you what it looks like next to my ruler. If you can see, the stitches are just inside the 1/4 inch line here, and they are right on the 1/4 inch line for that one. So let me press these open. The point of the scant 1/4 inch seam allowance is not the stitches will be 1/4 inch from the edge of the fabric. It means that after sewn together and pressed, you will have lost 1/4 inch from each side of the fabric. So after pressing, this should be 5 inches wide. It's exactly 5 inches. Okay, this one should also be 5 inches wide. But you can see it's 1/8 inch short. This one should now be 6.5 inches wide, the same as this ruler, which it is. This one should also be 6.5 inches wide, and it is 1/8 inch short. So now what's going to happen is when I attach these to my squares, this one is going to be slightly too small because my square is exactly 5 inches. So if I were going to attach this at the end, it would cause my fabric to stretch, and I do not want to do that. I'm going to attach this one, which is the same size as my square. I'm going to sew these. I have attached these pieces, this one with a scant 1/4 inch seam and this one with a 1/4 inch seam. You can see that this fabric was a little bit too long, so if I now trim that so that they match, my block is shrinking, whereas these two are the same. So now I'm going to attach these two other pieces. Here I have my blocks. This one with the scant 1/4 inch seam allowance and this one with the 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can see that this one measures 1/8 of an inch plus all the way around, too small. It should be exactly 6.5 inches. And this one measures exactly 6.5 inches all around. So a small difference, but it does make a difference.